Good morning. We could find out today if the Canadian Senate will suspend 3 of its highest profile members without pay, as a heated debate is set to continue in Ottawa this morning. For more on the story, we connect with Greg Harper, who's live in downtown Vancouver with reaction. Greg?
Good morning, Jody. Yeah, the Senate scandal continues. We heard from Senator Mike Duffy on Tuesday. Yesterday, we heard from Senator Pamela Wallin, who stood up and spoke, and she had some pretty strong words for the Harper government.
The government has sought to embarrass me and undermine me in the public eye. They hoped all this would force me to resign. But despite the clear, vindictive intent of this motion, you will never break my spirit.
Wallin says she has been unfairly targeted by 2 Conservative senators. She says the Conservative motion to suspend her without pay is baseless, premature, and politically motivated. You may recall the former news anchor was forced to repay more than $130,000 in disputed travel costs.
If, as I suspect, Senator Carignan is taking direction from the PMO, then this process is not in the interests of an independent, functioning and effective Senate. The real intent is to remove a perceived liability, namely me.
Well, I think the PM's right. I think at the end of the day, if the guy did wrong, he must pay back. It's as simple as that.
That is one opinion, and I'm sure we'll have many more throughout the morning. Jody?
Our discussion is continuing on our Facebook page as well. Greg Harper reporting live for us in downtown Vancouver. Thanks for that. New Westminster police are looking for your help in identifying a suspect wanted in connection with a disturbingly public sex assault. An older South Asian man is accused in the attack, which happened yesterday at the 22nd Street Skytrain station. He allegedly followed a woman onto the elevator, groped her, and complimented her looks. The woman says he asked her for her name and phone number, still groping and even kissing her before she got on a train. The suspect has a turban and white or gray beard. We are learning more today about how a sex offender being monitored in Canada simply walked over the Blaine border crossing after cutting off his tracking device. Michael Stanley had served jail time in Alberta for kidnapping 2 boys from a schoolyard. Earlier this month, police warned U.S. border agents that Stanley posed a significant risk and could be heading their way. Less than a week later, he crossed the border. Officials say they didn't stop him because he's an American citizen who isn't wanted in the U.S. That all changed last week when he was arrested in Seattle for allegedly assaulting a 16-year-old boy. A former border official acknowledged the gaps in security that allowed this to happen.
Going forward, we need to find ways to go ahead and tighten up some of these loopholes and see what we can do to make sure that the country's safer on some of these issues. But until that happens, these things unfortunately will occur.
Banking, shopping, socializing. Seems like we can do almost anything online except vote. And that will have to wait. Elections BC says the idea needs more fine-tuning before it can be used in provincial and civic voting. That's a recommendation of an independent panel that explored the possibility. It says there are still too many security risks involved. Perhaps more surprisingly, the panel says online voting will not necessarily lead to higher voter turnout.
Moving towards internet voting in British Columbia is likely not the panacea for the challenges of declining voter turnout that we've seen in the last generation or so.
British Columbians will go to the polls next year, with most municipal elections scheduled in November of 2014. Just coming up on 6:35, let's get you up to speed on the world of sports, and for that we head to the Connected Studios and James Cybulski.